Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. I got the wrong effect on for the ghost here. Let me fix that for a second. But welcome to the Level 1 Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Today is Sunday, the 25th of February, 2024, and we are halfway through this abridged streaming week. And what I mean by that is that this week we are only going 5 days. Normally I would go 6 or more. But 5 this week because we're trying to adjust the schedule. I did it completely wrong there. We're trying to adjust the schedule for the release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out this Thursday. And normally Thursday would be my day off, but this week I said, hey, let's change the schedule up so that basically I'll be here all day long for the release of the hot new release that everyone wants to see. So we've done that, but that means that we had to shorten the streaming week. Before we begin, just want to let everyone know up front, I am tuckered out today. Reason being, I did not get a very good sleep. Last night, Jasper Kitty had some issues. He was throwing up in the middle of the night a couple of times. And every time that happens, obviously, you can't just let it go. You have to clean it up. So I was awoken multiple times over the course of the night to clean up some yuckiness. For those who have cats, you know that this happens all the time. Sometimes cats throw up. Sometimes cats pee everywhere if they got a problem down there. You know, all kinds of stuff going on. And it just happened to be one of those nights. So I did not have a great, consistent sleep last night. I had my sleep broken up multiple times. As a result, it's just life. It's not a big deal. It's just a fact. So I'm waiting. My coffee is kicking in like right now. Like I had my coffee about an hour ago. And so now it's actually getting into my system and I'm starting to get to caffeine and feel a little better. But, you know, did not have a very sound sleep. And because of that, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to do my best. The good news is today's React Day, right? Like today is the day when we relax together and I react to content that you have submitted on the first stream for DSP versus the internet. And I react to my old style playthroughs from yesteryear on the Retro React stream later tonight. So it's a lot of more relaxing content today. There's no tenseness. There's no, I have to perform in a competitive game or anything like that. That's obviously a good thing. And quite honestly, this is a good reason to have this kind of variety content and not just me gaming every day. There's going to be times when this happens. And it's better for me to have a more relaxing day now rather than be all stressed out because I didn't get a good rest last night. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. Now, actually, someone brought up an interesting point. Well, not brought up an interesting point, but said something interesting in the stream chat this morning as I was starting up the show. They said, oh, man, I wonder if next week, 3 weeks in a row now, we will have Heavy Rain as the Retro React stream. If you don't know what they're talking about, over on my sister channel, DSP Throwback, which you can find at youtube.com/@DSP Throwback. This is a channel that is for primarily 2 reasons. Number one, for posterity purposes, I'm reposting old, forgotten, and lost playthroughs that over the years were very, very popular, but were erased from YouTube because of malicious activity. Right now, I'm currently more than halfway through my playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 1, the original from 2010, and I am just about hitting the halfway point of Final Fantasy 13, also from 2010. So it's pretty darned awesome that those playthroughs are actually finding, number one, a new audience. It's not a huge audience. It's maybe 100 or 200 people who are checking it out, but at least some new people are checking out those playthroughs who maybe have either never seen them before or haven't seen them in many, many years because they were deleted from YouTube due to, basically malicious activities. The old channels were hacked, and because of that, they were deleted. Or the other purpose of the channel, which has been something that's increased in popularity over the last month, is Retro React streams. So if you don't know, what I'm doing is I'll do a stream on there with my current setup, but I react to the old style playthroughs of yesteryear. And I so far have done 2.5 hours of Red Dead Redemption 1, then I did 2.5 hours of my original Dark Souls 1 run, and then I've done 2.5 hours of Heavy Rain from 2010. So the cool thing about those, number one, you get to see my old style of how I used to make videos. The videos are the old original raw ones, not upscaled or edited. You get to see the old style, camera pointed at a TV, shorter parts, that kind of stuff. It's cool. It's cool to see, man, Phil was popular doing this over a decade ago. And the answer is, yeah, I really was popular doing that stuff. I, got virally popular on YouTube, was known as one of the top gamers, and I made a living doing it now for a while until I eventually adopted direct capture in 2013. So that's just a neat, just oddity, just to watch the old videos, but then to see the old style of commentary, to laugh at my old reactions and talk about, how I feel about that in the modern day. It's been a blast doing these streams. I've done 3 of them now. Honestly, those streams are what make the channel viable, because if it weren't for those streams, the channel makes, no exaggeration, less than $1 a day on ad revenue. And for the effort going into that channel, meaning finding the old videos, uploading them from archived slow hard drives, getting those videos edited together into longer parts, running them through an AI upscaler that makes the video better, that makes the audio clearer, re-uploading those as half-hour parts, putting them into a playlist, retitling each part, meaning I have to watch each and every part that's been uploaded to that channel to know how to title it. It's a lot of work for me and the editors that are working on that channel, and I'm making less than $1 a day doing it, okay? So, these Retro React streams essentially are the times when people come to the channel and have been watching the streams and supporting the streams with memberships, super chats, and tips, and that makes the channel viable. Again, if it weren't for that, the channel would basically be a bust, all right? So they've been going really well, and the way I've been running it is every other Sunday I've been doing it on like a Sunday night, okay? But now in the month of March, here's the deal. Here's what's going on. I have to work on a couple things. Number one, I have to work on my taxes. I have half the information together, but the other half of the information is the most difficult part. Literally going through everything that I made and spent in 2023, line by line, plugging this into a spreadsheet, calculating totals. It's very arduous and tedious. It takes a while, all right? I got to pull data from so many different places. It's annoying, but you have to do it. Our government forces us to do it, so I got to do it every year, all right? I got to do it. It's due by April, but my tax guy wants it as soon as possible, so I was like, I got to take time in March to do this. There's no real deadline, but I have to do it. The way I see it, the sooner the better. Get the information done as soon as possible. That way we don't have to worry about, oh no, Phil has to take time away from streaming to do this shit. So that's number one. Number two, I'm going to have some private patron videos to do in the month of March. How many, I don't know. I am being told that might be upwards of 2+ hours of React videos that I have to make, or not React videos, just private patron videos. Some of them will be React, some of them will be like Q&A stuff. And if that's the case, if it really is that big of a chunk, I can't squeeze in 2+ hours of private videos between streams. It's a big chunk. So it essentially means that in March, I'm going to have to take a couple night streams off in order to do this stuff, okay? So here's the thing. Someone had said in the chat this morning, man, I wonder if 3 weeks in a row, if it's going to end up being Heavy Rain on the Retro React stream that Phil is doing on DSP Throwback. And I said, I guess we're probably not doing a Retro React stream next week, because I'm going to have to do some of this stuff. I either have to work on taxes or do the private patron videos, or both, depending on what's available at what. Depends on how quick the patrons request what they want. So because of that, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm thinking in my head, well, the Retro React streams have been doing good. Like, they actually have legitimately done really good on the channel. Oh, by the way, the videos I'm doing of them also are doing good. Like, if you look at the on-demand videos of both Heavy Rain and Dark Souls on the channel. Uh-oh, the browser's in the other window. Oh, great. Maybe I should have... Hold on. Maybe the browser's over here. Hold on a second here. Do I have the browser open in this window? Maybe I could just look at it here. I think I do. Okay, yes, let me refresh this. So, basically the videos, the on-demand videos of both Heavy Rain and Dark Souls 1 have done really good. In fact, every single part of Heavy Rain has over 400 views. Part 1 has like 1,400. Dark Souls also did really good. I think as of now, each part has over 500 views. Now, keep in mind, that was weeks ago, so people had more time to watch them. Those videos are not only the best thing on the channel, performance-wise. I mean, that's crazy the amount of people are watching them in comparison to the retro stuff, the Red Dead or the Final Fantasy 13. It's like, right now, with the Red Dead and Final Fantasy 13 playthroughs, those playthroughs are about halfway through, maybe a little more. they're barely getting 100 views in 24 hours. Now, they are getting more views over time, but you can tell what happens if the games are too long, right? When I'm on part 30-something of Final Fantasy, and we're only halfway through, right? It's like already like 16 hours in. And when you're around 10 to 15 hours into Red Dead, people lose interest. And I think what'll happen is over time, people will watch them slowly, but that's the thing. It's not really bringing attention to the channel. It's these retro react streams that are getting interest in the channel. So it makes sense for me to keep doing that stuff. Why would I stop doing the retro react streams? Honestly, there's only one answer to that. And the answer is because then it takes away from my time to do other stuff, notably gameplay. You know, right now, looking at the schedule coming up, here's my plans moving forward after this week, because as you know, this week is the crunch week to get as far as I can in the games I'm playing before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out on Thursday. Once Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, here's my plans. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be played a ton on the day streams, like almost every day, because I want to make major progress in this game before other new releases come out in March later in the month. So it makes sense for this to be the mainstream almost every single day. Okay? Fair enough? But we need to have variety on the streams. It can't be just Final Fantasy every day. So at least once a week, I want to play Baldur's Gate 3. I don't want the Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough to just die because I want to focus on a different RPG. We're now around 100 hours into Baldur's Gate 3. We're playing it again on Tuesday, so we will be over 100 hours once Final Fantasy VII comes out. So definitely, I want to keep Baldur's Gate in the rotation, but not necessarily anywhere near as prominent as it was. So if we're going to have Final Fantasy VII and a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3 on the day streams, the night streams were going to be Tekken 8 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Okay? Just alternating, basically. So you do like, you know, maybe 2 to 3 streams of one, 2 to 3 streams of the other a week, depending on which week or whatever. I think that makes sense to do it that way. That way we have good variety in the content that I'm doing. But now what about Retro React? Right? We've been doing it every other Sunday and it works, but now people want more of it. Okay, but now what about this other stuff going on that I need to do? So I got to think about this, but what I was thinking is, for example, let's say this week coming up, all right? So maybe what we would do, so I'm talking about this coming week now. So maybe this Friday, we do Friday Night Fights, Tekken 8. Maybe Saturday night, we do Like a Dragon Infinite Well. Sunday night, we still do Retro React of whatever you want. We'll maybe do another poll to determine what you want to see for that Retro React. And it could be continuing Dark Souls, continuing Heavy Rain, Bully, and maybe we'll do a new one. And I'm curious, guys, what other game would you like to see me do a Retro React to on DSP Throwback? Right now, I think that continuing Dark Souls 1, continuing Heavy Rain, and Bully are 3 great options. But, just to forewarn you, games right now that we could not do would basically be like the Fallout series. And the reason being, my original Fallout playthroughs had the music turned on, and that music is infamous for getting blocked on YouTube. Just outright being destroyed on YouTube. The playthroughs have been blocked a ton of times, and what I've had to do is try to edit the music out, and it doesn't always work. The good news is, if we ever do choose to have Fallout 3 be a part of the DSP Throwback channel, my editor has said he has an effect that can edit out music. Not that it works 100% of the time, but it can take like the old-timey music that was played on the radio and hopefully edit most of it out so the videos won't get blocked or muted on the channel, which would be great. But that has to happen before we can react to it. We can't just react to the raw videos like we're doing right now with Heavy Rain or Dark Souls 1. So, I guess the question is, what else would you like? Grimace says Arkham City. The original Arkham City playthrough from back in the day. I don't even remember that one. That would have been direct capture, right? Or was it? What year did Arkham City come out? Does anyone remember? I can't remember off the top of my head. All right, Dr. Kinnison and Swagonito are saying BioShock. Now, you mean my original BioShock 1 playthrough from a zillion years ago? I remember that one. And that one... Oh, okay, I'm being told the original Arkham City was 2011, so it wasn't direct capture. Okay, that would definitely be eligible then, for sure. Yeah, because that would be old style and everything. It would make sense to do a react to it. BioShock, if I remember correctly, I know I didn't play it when it was new, because it actually came out before I was a YouTuber. I remember doing a playthrough of it, and I remember half the time that I was playing it, I was drunk. I totally 100% remember that. I remember that I was really depressed at the time over some stuff going on in my life, and I was so depressed that I just got like piss drunk and was playing the game slurring my words, right? I think I turned the volume like way too loud, and this was a time, this was way long ago, like 12, 13 years ago or whatever. And I think that my neighbor, like my upstairs neighbor, was so pissed at me because the volume was so loud. They were like slamming on the floor, like, shut up, why are you making so much fucking noise, turn that down or whatever. And I did, because I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize, I was so drunk, I didn't realize that I had it that loud, and it was disrespectful to have it that loud, That's what I remember my original Bioshock playthrough for YouTube, seriously. Like, I that's how different of a time things were back then. Half the time I was making videos, I was by myself in my condo in Connecticut, probably drinking, probably depressed, just pumping out videos for YouTube, That was my life back then. And that's why it's funny, because people say things like, oh, but Phil, back when you were popular on YouTube, wasn't that a better time in your life? Well, let's see. I was 40 pounds more overweight, so my health was awful. I had horrible, debilitating back pain and shooting numbness. My knees were always killing me. I drank like a fish all the time, all night long, never really slept properly, overate constantly, was depressed, it's like, do you really think, I was single, living by myself, awful existence. Do you really think that just because I had views on YouTube that my life was better? My life was much worse, like much, much, much worse back then, But seriously, that's the only thing I remember about the original Bioshock playthrough. That's it. I don't even remember how I reacted to it, how I liked it. I don't even remember if you guys watched it, honestly. All right, here's what we need to do. What I'd like to do, and I'm going to definitely ask on the Throwback channel tonight, I want to figure out a viable fourth option for a Retro React to do on DSP Throwback, because I think what I'm going to do, here's what I'm thinking, right? Next week, we will do Friday Night Fights, Like a Dragon Infinite Well, Retro React on Sunday. Monday night will be the night that I will not stream, and that will likely be the night that I work on, like, tax stuff or patron private videos, depending. And then Tuesday, Wednesday will be, like, more Tekken, more Like a Dragon. That's what I'm thinking for next week, okay? So, we'll see how that goes with that schedule. If you guys like the Retro React stuff, I can make an effort to do it every week, either Sunday night or Monday night. But the problem then is there's going to be less gameplay. There's going to be less gameplay if I'm doing Retro React more frequently. Maybe for now, we try to do that, and then if it doesn't work as well, or if it loses its luster because we're doing it too often, then we can cut back on doing it and do it every other week instead. But I think that's what I might do. That's definitely what I think I might do for now. Since it's working, people are liking the stream, they want more of it, they're actually sad that it takes me so long to do them, then why wouldn't I do more of them, right? But I need your opinions on what else, because I think the reason it's been working is every week we're kind of doing a different game. Now, this week we're doing Heavy Rain 2 weeks in a row. Is it going to be as good this week as it was last week, or are people going to get tired of it and be like, it's too much of the same, right? I don't know. So let's see. Again, continuing Dark Souls 1, continuing Heavy Rain, the Bully playthrough from 2013 are all really good viable options. Now, let's see what else you guys want to have as the fourth candidate. And what we'll do is put up a poll, just like we've been doing, and you guys will vote on that poll over the course of the week on what you want to see on the Retro React stream next weekend. All right? So think about it. Let me know today. We'll talk about it, about what games you think you want to see. Right now, your two options were Arkham City or Bioshock. They both sound pretty good. Yes, I played Mass Effect 1. I played Mass Effect 1 multiple times. I first played Mass Effect 1 early on in my YouTube presence, because it was actually one of my favorite games at the time. I played it before I was a YouTuber, and I loved it. I played the crap out of it. So originally I did, if I remember correctly, I think my first run was a hardcore run, because I was basically doing like New Game Plus to my original run that I had done on my own personal time. And because of that, every enemy was like a bullet sponge. And that's where memes like Thugs on the Floor and stuff had come from. And then years later, I did a second run, and I think that was Evil Femme Shep, where you make the female shepherd and all the bad, like, renegade choices. So I think I did that, and that was a standard difficulty run. And then years later, there was the Mass Effect Remastered Trilogy that came out like a year or two ago, a couple years ago, and I played it then too. So I've basically done like 3 different runs of Mass Effect 1 on YouTube. No, I'm not dropping Like a Dragon. It doesn't matter how many people bitch about it in chat. Like a Dragon fits the role of the late night chill stream. It gets a lot of engagement for the people that are there. We have a nice chill time. I don't care that it's not getting a lot of support. That's not the point. I don't play every game to get tons of support, as you know, or else I would drop a lot of games. The whole myth of the wage quit is just that, a myth. I don't quit games based on income. That's bullshit. So I'm going to keep playing it. Okay. Cool. So let me know what you want to do with Retro React next week. Okay. As is, here's the schedule. By the way, yesterday, great streaming day of all RPGs. Baldur's Gate 3, massive story development. We're basically getting to see our choices in the end game of how it's going to affect things in the end game. Who are we going to side with and what are we going to do? And some fun side questing as well. We're amassing allies for the final battle, which is what you're supposed to do. Like, that's what the game tells you to do, amass allies, and that's exactly what we're doing. Great progress. We're now in the town of Baldur's Gate, and that continues Tuesday. Excuse me. Last night, basically, we did more Like a Dragon, and we focused solely on questing, meaning we did every quest we could find in the environment, right? In addition, we did all of the drink links. In this game, there's a mechanic that as you build friendships with your party members, you have to go to this bar and have drinks with them, and there's a bunch of story cutscenes based on their own backstories. And basically what happens with that is you get better combat abilities. So it makes sense to do that, because if you don't, your combat's not as good, and it makes combat a lot easier, especially with harder enemies later on. So we did all of the drink links. We did a ton of questing. Lots of progress. When we play again on Monday night, it's going to be more of the same. More of, keep focusing on the quest and get all the quests done, and then we're going to advance the story. So it was a great stream last night. Yeah, it had very low support. I don't care. If that game fills the role of the late night chill stream perfectly, it doesn't need to get tons of support every single time. This is why I'm a variety streamer, because if I'm playing enough variety, there will be different support coming in for different streams and different games. Sometimes we will get support for Like a Dragon. Sometimes we won't. It's all right as long as overall I'm getting good support, and overall I am, so I'm not complaining, and we continue on positively. Okay? So, rest of the week. Today it is React Day. When this podcast ends, we're heading over to DSP Reacts for my DSP versus the Internet show. It's my weekly clip show where the members on that channel submit clips to watch and react to. Oddly enough, are you ready for this? Oddly enough, with all the talk and requests over this last week, no one submitted the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC trailer for me to react to. Why? I just don't get it. It's a react show. The whole point is for me to react to things you want to see me react to. So many people asked me to react to it this week, and I said, no, I'm not doing it just randomly in the week, but I have a show on Sunday, and then no one nominated it. Do you want to know what was nominated? Epic Mickey Remastered. I'm not kidding you. I think it's called Repainted or something. That was nominated, and that's what we're going to watch, but not the Elden Ring DLC trailer. I mean, I don't even know what else to say. I don't even... But hey, if you become a member of DSP Reacts, you can submit the clips for the show. There's a tremendous amount of power there, so I hope you would consider it. That's literally all the profit I make on that channel is from the memberships, because I don't get ad revenue because all those videos end up getting claimed. So please consider becoming a member over there, and then you can be a part of this ongoing project, and you could actually submit this stuff, okay? Sound good? All right, cool. So anyway, DSP Reacts, DSP versus the Internet, right after this show ends. In fact, if you're live on the stream, you'll see like a pop-up that'll say, hey, everyone's going to DSP Reacts, and you can head over there. Tonight, yes, it is Retro React to Heavy Rain, continuing from where we left off last week over on DSP Throwback. I'm excited for that. Probably another 2 to 2.5 hours of reacting to the classic playthrough. Tomorrow, Monday, we get back to full-time gaming. It'll be Tekken 8 on the daytime stream. 3 hours of me playing ranked Yoshimitsu in the red ranks. And for those who don't know, the red ranks is where it gets tough. This is where people who actually have been playing the game a lot have hit. Think red ranks are very similar, I would say, to high-level platinum into low-level diamond of Street Fighter 6. Not the highest level by far, but definitely you're hitting that level where people are playing a lot and know their stuff. All right, and then after red ranks, it's purple, and I would equate purple to like the middle ranks of diamond. And then there's blue, and I would equate blue to basically passing diamond and hitting master level in Street Fighter 6. And then there's yellow, and yellow is like ultimate tippy top. Very few people have hit yellow, only pro players playing nonstop. And that would basically be like, yeah, the people who are legend status of Street Fighter 6, okay? So I'm in red ranks, which means we're getting to the sweats. You know, we're getting to the point where every match is going to be tough, every match is going to be tricky, everyone knows what they're doing, they got tricks, and they know how to abuse the online code to spam things that shouldn't be safe, but they make it safe online and stuff like that. So we're getting there, okay? Then tomorrow night, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And then Tuesday, my final major stream of Baldur's Gate 3. We're hitting the 100-hour mark officially. And the way I see it, this will kind of be a send-off for Baldur's Gate 3. Because we will be playing it, but probably only like once a week moving forward. So this will be a way to say, all right, thanks for over 100 hours of gameplay. It's going to all be in the town of Baldur's Gate, so we'll probably do a lot of questing and things like that. It should be a good time. And then, again, Tuesday night, more Like a Dragon. And that's the streaming week. I'm off on Wednesday, but when I come back on Thursday, all day long, both streams, I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Then on Friday, more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Tekken 8. Saturday, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Like a Dragon. Sunday, React Day. So we're going to have DSP versus the Internet and probably the Retro React stream on DSP Throwback. Monday, I'll probably just play Final Fantasy VII. No late stream, so that way I can work on my taxes or patron videos or both. We'll see. Tuesday, Final Fantasy VII and Tekken. Wednesday, Final Fantasy VII and Like a Dragon. And that's the streaming week. So it's a crazy long week. It's Thursday to Wednesday. 7 straight days of streaming for me. So, there you go. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute, Phil. What about Ed, the DLC character coming out for Street Fighter 6? I'll respond as frankly and honestly as I can. I don't care right now. You know, it's not that I don't care about Street Fighter 6 at all. I do. I played it for 7 months. I like the game. But I'm just not going to be focusing on it. I'm already playing Tekken. I can only play one major fighting game at a time. That's the only way to actually play at a competitive level and get better is to focus on one at a time. You cannot be juggling and trying to get better in 2 at a time unless you're playing. If all I was playing was fighting games, sure, then I would play Tekken 8 and balance it with Street Fighter 6. But I'm not. I'm playing 400 other games, so I'm not going to be playing Ed, all right, at all. Right now, anyway. Will I go back to Street Fighter 6? Yes, likely I will go back to Street Fighter 6 when Akuma is released. He interests me a lot more as a character regardless. So there you go. And, you know, will I play Street Fighter 6 more in the future? Yes. What I'm really interested in Street Fighter 6, honestly, is when Season 2 comes out. Because Season 2 is traditionally about a year after the release of the game. And what they do is they retweak and rebalance the game to make it so that it's a little bit more fair and balanced. And they take all the feedback that the players have said over the first year and try to fix it. And in my opinion, the game does have a lot of shortcomings, right? It really, really does. That need to be tweaked and fixed. So I would love for it to be rebalanced. See the top tiers like Luke, Ken, Jury, DJ tweaked a lot. Because right now they are ridiculously overpowered and they kind of make the game unfun to play at a high level. Just being honest, they have way too many tools, way too many advantages. While other characters, it's viable to win. They have to play so much harder, so much better, and struggle to get any even, you know, you have to get a lucky hit in to get something going and get momentum going, while those characters can safely just go crazy with their pattern spam bullshit and get away with it. So that's why I feel like a lot of the gameplay for me for the game just kind of wasn't fun anymore when I was still playing at the end of January there. I was like, I'm just not having fun with this game anymore. Like, every time I play it, I'm just frustrated because I don't pick the top tiers and I'm not going to, you know, start learning them now. It just would piss me off. So, that's why. I'm not playing Ed right now. I'm going to wait probably until Akuma to go back to it. And I'll probably get more heavily reinvested in Street Fighter 6 once they do like a season rebalance. and things change around, and hopefully those top tiers are not nearly as dominant as they are now, and hopefully some of the characters that I like that are bottom tier, like Zangief, Lily, Honda, hopefully those are represented better in the meta. Right now, it's funny because Capcom Cup is going on right now. This is the world tournament where people from all over the world in the last year qualified to be in it. 0 Lilies, 0 Hondas, only 1 Zangief, and it's the best one in the world, Snake Eyes. No one else made it. I think there's 3 Dalsims, which is good. I think 1 or 2 Blancas, that's it. Like, literally almost no Blancas. So all the characters I play, none of them could make it. Who made it to Capcom Cup? 10 fucking Lukes. Something like that. It's like 8 or 10 Lukes. 8 or something 10s. Right? A ton of juries. A ton of DJs. It's everyone you knew was top tier and overpowered. That's the entire top of the bracket. Like, all of them made it in. So, if anything, I mean, people complain, oh, well, it's not fair. The top tiers are overpowered or whatever, right? But then now, here's concrete evidence. You had a world qualification, and literally no one could win with these bottom tiers while the top tiers easily glided in. It's stupid. Like, they really need to rebalance it at this point. So, anyway. That's that. No, I'm not doing Street Fighter 6 right now. Are there other games coming out in the next few weeks? Yes. Am I playing them? No. I'm going to focus in on Final Fantasy 7 and everything else I'm doing, because in the middle of the month, there's that new Star Wars Battlefront collection coming out, and I'm very interested in that because that game was so good in the 2000s, and I'm going to have so much fun playing that online again. I know I am. So I'm interested in that. And then around the 22nd, I believe, is both Rise of the Ronin and Dragon's Dogma 2. So my goal is in the first 3 weeks of March to get as far as I possibly can in Final Fantasy 7. I don't think we'll beat it. All right? I don't. But if I'm playing it most of the daytime streams, maybe with 1 or 2 exceptions, the React show is an exception, and maybe one other day a week I'll be doing like, Baldur's Gate. But if I'm playing it 4 times a week as the day stream, if the first week I do 17 hours, the next week I do 12, the next week I do 12. By the time that middle, 22nd of March hits, we'll be like 40 plus 50 hours in, almost done. Because the reports are that it's about 60 hours long. Now, it can be a longer playthrough if you take time to do more optional stuff. I don't know how much of that optional stuff I'm going to do right now, I don't know to what extent they have things like Chocobo racing at the Golden Saucer and things like that. Like, I don't know. I guess we'll see, okay? But that will be my focus. And the thing is, unlike a lot of the other RPGs I'm playing right now, it does seem like most people are on board with me doing this with Final Fantasy. Like, for example, a lot of people are burnt out on Baldur's Gate, and they're like, listen, we know that there's an audience for it, people are engaged, and they're supporting the streams, but man, Baldur's Gate, you've played over 100 hours, we need something else, right? People seem to be on board with me doing the Final Fantasy VII in this manner. And so I'm down for doing Final Fantasy VII in this manner because I want to get as far as I can, as quickly as I can. Plus, it's going to be an outstanding game. Of course, all the reviewers are saying it's amazing. It's actually supposedly better than Remake, and Remake was great, so this is like even better. It's going to be awesome. So I'm very excited for that, okay? Sound good? Wow, people saying some awful things in the chat about my cat, so anyone who does that is just going to get banned. Wow, what an awful thing to say. Seriously, where did that even come from? What a terrible person to say something like that, right? Anyway, all right, so that's what we're looking for the schedule, all right? Hopefully that sounds good, and there you go. Now, what I'd like to do today, because we have a little bit of extra time, we're going to do a little bit of suggestion box stuff. So I'm actually going to go to that suggestions thread that has now been live for about a little over a week. And I'm going to pull up some suggestions from said thread. Okay. So last time around, I was at... Okay. Let me refresh now. Actually, I don't need to refresh. I can just keep going from here. Crap, now I lost my spot. Here it is. Would you consider... Okay, we're going to do suggestion box. Ready? Would you consider going back to Call of Duty to add to variety maybe once every few weeks for a night stream? We were going to do that, and what happened was people didn't want it. Remember, we were going to do it during my Super Bowl event. People weren't too much for it. I wanted to do it last week. People weren't too much for it. In fact, they mostly they wanted to see me just hang out, so we did that chill stream last week. Remember, where I just hung out with the audience? Yeah, I think, I'll be honest, I like Call of Duty. I think it's silly fun. I don't take it seriously, but when I play it, I go ham with dual handguns and stuff. I like that, but I just think, like, the appeal of Call of Duty has died out. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool for, like, a month, and then people are, like, tired of it because it's the same thing. I mean, let's be honest. Call of Duty has not innovated in many, many years. They don't even try anymore. So, I get it. You get that 1 month of action. People want to see it in the rotation, and then people are like, meh. They'd rather much see other things. So, yeah, I don't think Call of Duty is coming back. Stop going over the schedule every day and recap what you did the previous day. It's boring, pointless, and filler. So you're telling me right now, as I'm explaining to all of you how I'm going to be playing a ton of Final Fantasy VII, how I just told you the schedule is changing, and I'm probably going to add in Retro React every week moving forward, but we're going to have other nights off for taxes. All this stuff that I'm telling you that's very important, that you need to know, I shouldn't tell you. So what I should do is just randomly turn the stream on and off every day, and if you know it's happening, great, and if not, oh well. So basically you want me to be like Wings of Redemption. No, I'm not going to be like Wings of Redemption, and I'm not going to be like other streamers who don't plan, don't focus, they're not transparent with their audience. I'm not everybody else. If you want to watch everybody else, you can go watch everyone else who isn't meticulous about planning and being transparent and explaining what they're going to do. You can just go do that and then be upset when they're not streaming. Why are they said they were going to do? Where are they? I don't get it. What are they doing today? No one knows. Are they even streaming today? I don't know. Go watch them. Have fun. No one's stopping you. But if you want something that's treated professionally, seriously, and I'm on time and I work my butt off every day, that's what you're here for, right? So if you don't like that, don't come by to watch the content that's well planned, and I explain to you when the plans change. A lot of the times, all right, the reason why I do the schedule on the streams is very simple: to get immediate feedback. I can start, like today, I already found out. I said, gee, if we did a Retro React next week, what should we do? And immediately people are like, how about Batman Arkham City? How about BioShock? And so I'm getting the feedback I need. If I just do this stuff without any immediate feedback, I'm just talking to a wall. I don't know what people would like. I want opinions. I want to take in said opinions to improve, right? That's how you actually do well in this kind of a landscape versus just making decisions for yourself. You know what I'm saying? But I don't understand why people don't understand that. Like, maybe it's boring to you, but it serves a humongous purpose and has been a boon. By the way, I should say this again. There are tons of people who tune into my streams just for the podcast, and they have a lot of fun on the podcast when I go over this stuff because they feel like they're a part of it. They feel like they can impact it. In fact, they can impact it by just being there and talking in the chat right now. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. Okay. All right, let's continue on. I will not be surprised if you ignore this post. Well, does it sound like I'm ignoring it? I'm reading it right now. Number one, you made chat an integral part of your gameplay so much that the sense of exploration or adventure when you touch a new title is evaporated. You rely on your chat for more innocuous decisions and solutions. You abandon enjoyment in watching a streamer discovering a mechanic or overcoming a hurdle. Consider the rule you have about spoilers from your own chat rules and actually applying it. When it's okay to ask for chat's input from time to time, you have become more aware. You straddle the line for aid to over-reliance. So basically what you're saying is you don't like the Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. Because that's what this is. Because this doesn't apply to literally any other playthrough. It only applies to the Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. Every playthrough that I do, everybody knows it's in the rules. You are not to outright spoil. You are not to tell me what to do. You're not going to do plot points. You're not going to do combat. I have to figure it out for myself. If I feel like I'm stuck or there's something I'm not understanding, then I will turn the chat and we'll talk about it. Right? But it has to be with my blessing or permission. People who spam spoilers and stuff get banned. It's against the rules. It always has been. The one exception has been Baldur's Gate 3, because since day one with the Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough, it has been, I don't understand this universe. I don't play D&D, so I don't get the lore. I don't understand dice rolls. I certainly don't understand the meticulous rule set of the combat of Baldur's Gate 3. This is all new to me, right? Imagine if you were walking into a building and everything was written in Greek, right? Now, you kind of know what the building is for, but you can't read anything because it's all written in Greek. So do you just stand there trying to figure out the Greek for yourself with a book, trying to translate on the fly? Or do you have someone who's a Greek translator come in with you to tell you what everything is so you can efficiently do things in the building? Which would you prefer? Translating with the book for yourself or having the translator help you? That's essentially what the chat is right now for Baldur's Gate 3. They are translating this very foreign game into a language I can understand. For the most part, all right, I am getting it. And in fact, take a look at the last couple of streams, all right, if you would like. Because what you'll find is, as I've approached Baldur's Gate in Rivington, I'm walking around and I'm exploring for myself. So I'm finding as much as I can, and then if I happen to have missed one or two things, people will tell me. So for example, I was about to enter Baldur's Gate yesterday, and someone was like, no, listen, you actually missed out. There's a fun area underneath where you are. If you go explore, you'll find it, and there's some optional combat. Now, I didn't even know what the combat was, but I listened to them. I went down there, I found it, and that way we got a little bit more. And by the way, doing that combat led to a discovery of a map. That map led us into an alternate area into this fort. That allowed us to do a side mission to rescue someone from the prison and have an escape route. So if that person had not recommended to me, hey, here's something you completely missed, go check it out, we wouldn't have done any of that. So is that what you want? You want a playthrough where I skip a ton of content because it's easily missable because that's how the game developers made it? Or, well knowing that I'm not going back to Baldur's Gate 3 to do a second run, would you prefer that I do most of the content in the first one? Because that's the difference between you and me. You very well may like Baldur's Gate 3 enough that you go back and do multiple runs. I can't. I'm a variety streamer. I've already put 100 hours in. This playthrough's going to be like 130, 140 hours. I can't go back and play it again. So I have to do all the meaningful stuff in one run. If you have a problem with people helping me to find the content, then don't watch the playthrough. Play it for yourself 7 times. There's nothing wrong with that, but telling me that I'm taking too much input from my chat when it's literally only applies to one playthrough, and it's because of a very specific circumstance that was explained up front when I started the playthrough. It was even a big disclaimer on part 1. This will be a very interactive playthrough. The only reason I'm playing it is because I said that I wanted people to help me with it because I don't get it. And I know this is going to be a giant learning curve, and I'm going to need this kind of aid. And I know it's a one-time run, so let's do it all at once. This was all explained up front. If you didn't listen, that's on you, not on me. But that's the point. I can read between the lines and stuff like this. This person is so upset. The first thing they say is, I wouldn't be surprised if you skip this comment. So, by the way, stop taking suggestions from your stream chat. What are you talking about? Right? Literally, when I start playing a game, the first thing that people say, okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to go through that door. You're going to head right. There's an enemy there hiding. Don't get hit by that enemy. Then dodge left and right. None of that happens. You're an idiot. You're a liar. All right? What you're trying to do is you're trying to create a straw man. And then you present that straw man as a fact. It's not a fact. It's the straw man you created to present an argument that it's fallible. It's false. It's a false narrative. Okay? If you don't like Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough because of the way I've done it, don't watch it. Play it yourself. And don't try to generalize comments like this because it just makes you look stupid. Okay? Cool. Just listen to this. I love this. Because this guy, every comment this guy leaves is angry. Right? Every comment. A literal, like an angry butthurt comment. Right? Apply your rules regarding bullying and harassing in your chat. Because apparently I just let people bully and harass others all day long in my chat. Do you see? This is the classic case of a loaded questions or loaded suggestions. They're proposing scenarios that don't exist as if they do. To then say, well, here's a criticism. But your criticism is invalid. Do I allow people to come into my chat and bully and harass others all day long? No. Lots of other streamers do. People actually say the opposite of my chat. That is not allowed, right? And a lot of people complain about that. They say, oh, man, Phil, he doesn't allow that stuff, so now we don't have freedom to say what we want or something, right? But it's true. The truth is, people have a good time in the chat because they don't have to worry about a lot of people attacking each other. They don't have to worry about people being bullying and nasty to each other. Does it happen sometimes? Yes. I can't always stop it. You see when I call it out. Absolutely, you see me call it out and stop that shit and put an end to it, right? But there you go, right? I'm not even going to read another word from this guy. Do you want to know what he said in this comment? He says, there's cases of erotic roleplay permeating the active discourse. Why am I even reading this? Do you see? He actually said that. Listen to this. He says, there is a lack of moderation. There's a cultivation of a community of bullies and harassers. of legitimate viewers and active fans. It's a combination of spam trolling and erotic roleplay permeating the active discourse of my chat. It's obvious the reason the person said up front, you're not going to post this comment, is because they wanted me to read the most ridiculous things I've ever seen, right? Let me tell you guys, at every moment, it's just erotic roleplay in my chat. I mean, that's the problem. It's a major problem. I've been reported so many times for it. It's completely out of control. Right? I mean, totally. That's not the polar opposite of the truth. And, you know, and people don't give me shit all the time for not making sexual comments and not partaking in any kind of romantic relationships in games. It's that we're just constantly doing erotic roleplay. Gotcha. All right. I've had enough of reading that comment. We'll move on to another one. That was a complete waste of time. Good Lord. Let's see. By the way, that guy, no kidding, he had like 10 bullet points in his comment. 10 things he actually expected me to go through when the first 2 were so ludicrous. Okay. Let's go. Okay. Well, the chat is responding pretty appropriately to that comment. Okay. I've been a fan of yours since Heavy Rain. Ugh. I hair in my mouth. Ugh. Okay. I get what you had to change from how you used to be. Nowadays, I do find you kind of boring. I mean, put me to sleep boring. I haven't been able to watch any videos since Hades. I try, but somehow you need to figure out how to become more entertaining. Well, here's the thing. There's different kinds of content. There's different kinds of entertainment. All right? Sure, 10, 15 years ago, I was known as the over-the-top, anything goes, equal opportunity offender. Like, that's what I called myself. I'm the equal opportunity offender. I will criticize and make jokes about any race, any creed, any gender. It'll be about sex. It'll be about violence. It'll be about, you know, ethnicity. As long as they're generalized jokes. That's the thing. I never wanted to make it so that a certain group felt like they were being targeted. And I don't think I ever really received a complaint about that. Normally it would be that, yes, by the time that it was your turn for a joke, some people would be like, oh, man, it's hard to take. But then again, Phil kind of jokes about everything, so it's kind of fair, right? Back in the day, no one complained. No one had issue with that commentary, all right? Now they do. Now anything like that is considered an absolutely horrible joke. Anytime I even try to make a dark joke these days, people criticize. I mean, take a look at the playthrough that I did. I don't even remember the name of the game anymore, all right? But it was the game about the heist went wrong, right? That there were like 3 brothers who were doing a heist at like a gas station, and there's other survivors in there, and basically there's a girl and there's a corrupt sheriff. So I made a joke in the playthrough, all right, that the corrupt sheriff, who, by the way, there's evidence in the game, he has a black book of horrible things he's done to the town. He's basically blackmailing the town. He's a drug dealer. He's a scumbag. So I make a dark joke that this guy also maybe like taking in kids and having like a whole kind of slave trade deal going on too, because that's the kind of thing a guy like that would do. If this guy really was ruling the town with an iron fist and he's like this underworld kingpin, but he's the sheriff too, don't you think he would be doing more awful things? So I make the comment, and people, oh, horrible joke, awful. Don't you see how that joke's terrible? What an awful thing to say. And I'm like, that's literally the kind of joke I made every 5 seconds back in the day in my old commentary. Like, that's a mild joke compared to the kind of jokes that I used to make back in the day. It really, really is. So the fact that today you can't even make dark jokes because you'll be, you know what I'm saying? People are, oh my God, a dark joke. They can't take it, right? So that's why in the modern era, you can't be like that anymore. You just can't. You can be if you constantly want to be the subject of a drama discourse. Like if you're doing it today, you obviously are not a serious creator. All you're trying to do is get people to talk about you in a negative light, so at least your name's out there. And that's not my goal. I literally could today go right back to that style of commentary. And if I did, I would be talked about all over the internet. Oh my God, did you hear Darkside Phil went back to this awful commentary? It's over the top, cancel culture shit, right? But I don't want to do that. My content today has evolved, all right? And here's the thing. It's evolved to the point where I'm no longer in line with what most people on YouTube want, because most people on YouTube want immature drama crap. That's not me, right? That's like saying you were going to make a TV show. And so you made a TV show that was professionally made with all kinds of interesting plots and good vibes and things, but it doesn't get a lot of attention. But then someone made Keeping Up with the Kardashians, the dumbest, most vapid, empty-headed piece of dog shit television ever created, and that's the most popular thing on TV, so that's the right way to go, and you should keep making that, right? No. I've made the most vapid, shitty content on YouTube back in the day. I know that now, and I've matured and I've grown up from that kind of content. I don't want to make constant sex jokes. I don't want to make constant racial jokes. I don't want to be making these offensive comments for the sake of getting a rise out of people anymore. I'm past that. In fact, if you look at my demographics on YouTube, all right, you will see that my demographics over the years have completely changed. My audience in 2010 was a bunch of teenagers. I know, because I used to pull the demographics and always used to say, yeah, all of all your viewers are teenagers, right? Now I pull my demographics and it says, whoa, now most of my viewers are in their mid-20s to mid-30s or mid-30s to 40s. That's where all of my viewers are. Older people, adults around my age range who are looking for a different kind of content, right? That's what people want. They do not want trash, stupid drama on this channel, right? Now, there are people who want trash and stupid drama. They're not my viewers. They're my haters. They're scumbags out there. And that's literally, why do you think the top YouTubers right now are people who are doing drama shit constantly? Even the gamers. I mean, the gamers are constantly causing drama, doing drama stunts and things. That's how they are. That's what dumb teenagers like. That's not the content that I make, okay? I've grown and evolved over the years. I understand what this person is saying, but again, sadly, this is something you'll come to a realization about in life, okay? Things change. They do. People change. Things change for the better, all right? If you're looking for someone who's now been through the YouTube grinder, 16 years of my life I've been doing this. I have all the experience, all the knowledge. I know about how the games industry works. I know about all this shit. If that's the kind of stuff that you want to hear, you want to come here and see honest takes on games. You want to hang out with me for a podcast every day and have some honest discourse about things going on in the world. You want to have some fun laughing at the past on the Throwback channel. You want me to laugh at and react to content from all over the internet on the React show, DSP versus the internet. This is the kind of content you can get. It's not going to be mainstream content. That's not what YouTubers are looking for. Excuse me. This is not what YouTube viewers are looking for. They're looking for the same vapid, drama, crap content that I was making 15 years ago. But that's not me anymore. I'm 41, about to be 42. Okay? So, that's why it's different. And again, when people say to me, oh, you changed for the worse, you're boring now, then it's time to move on. Right? If you don't like who I become as a person, despite the fact that I feel my content is more meaningful today than it ever was before, it's not harmful to anyone. That's a key factor. When you're watching my gameplay, when you're watching my podcast or my React stuff, there's no one getting hurt. Right? I'm not causing drama. I'm not trying to cause fights and stuff, right? That's just the truth. And I like that a lot. The fact that every day I can go to sleep and say, hey, I didn't actually have to hurt anyone to make $1 today, right? Didn't have to insult anyone, didn't have to cause any problems for anyone. I was just able to entertain an audience and make a living doing it. That's an honest paycheck. That's an honest day's work right there, right? Unlike the shit that they're doing on these popular YouTube channels, I'm being honest about it, right? I said, I'm basically the blue-collar content creator, busting my ass, working hard every day, not hurting anyone, just making a living, getting by, and hanging out with you guys, and that's what it's all about, all right? Versus what they do out there, pulling their stunts, being fake, doing all this fucking bullshit, scamming and all this shit. I'm not involved with any of that. And I hope that you understand and appreciate that I'm different, all right? So yeah, if that's the case and you don't get it and you don't like the modern me, then it's time to move on. People change it in time, man. It's, it's like they say, a lot of people who I used to watch back in the day have changed. The angry video game nerd absolutely changed. The nostalgia critic changed. Fuck, Howard Stern apparently is completely different today than what he used to be. If you don't like what people become as they evolve, that's fine. That's just the human condition, is that things change over time. You have to accept it. Just don't sit there denying it or demanding that the past comes back. That's never going to happen. I'm never going to be Phil from 2010 again. It just won't happen. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. You understand? I'm a different person. Okay. Edit your throwback videos into longer format playthroughs. Have them only in 3 long parts. That way you can get through older playthroughs faster. Add chapters. People can always go back and finish the video. For perspective here, the content on the DSP throwback channel, all right? Right now we're making 30-minute parts. Okay? To make those 30-minute parts takes 4 to 5 hours of video. Of editing. Just running it through the editor, encoding it. Okay? Can you imagine if right now, for the Final Fantasy 13 playthrough, which is around 35 hours long, that we tried to make a 12-hour video, the PC would be running for 2 weeks just to encode one video. It wouldn't work. What you're saying is preposterous. Maybe if I had a giant network of supercomputers, right? A server farm trying to fucking encode the video, maybe. That it's never going to happen. Okay? So I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, basically the thing is, people just have these crazy misconceptions about things. Oh, it should be so easy to do that content. Really? You think that taking those videos that look and sound atrociously bad, like some of them you can't even make out what I'm saying in the video at this point, because now, you know, years later, you're so used to the modern technology, it looks like shit, it sounds like shit. You think that running those videos through upscaling AI, through noise correcting AI, right? Then combining them together, that this should take like 20 minutes. Well, let me know what alternate universe you live in. I'd like to visit this multiverse where everything is like this. Really, I'd love to see it. It doesn't exist, but I'd love to know, because again, these people are living in an alternate reality when they think about this shit. They just want what it's called instant gratification. I want it my way, immediately, for free, and if you don't give it to me my way immediately for free, you're doing it all wrong and it's your fault, right? Listen, basically the way I see it is, the way that those videos are releasing is good. It gives you a little bit of content every day, half an hour, right? It doesn't overwork the editors, so they're not having to pump 20, 30, 40 hours into each video, which would be ludicrous. Do you know how many views those videos are getting? On average, 100 to 200. Do you really think that we should run it through an editor for that long to get 100 views on a video? What are you talking about, right? Like, you're out of your mind. This way, we can guarantee new content every day, right? Because they're half an hour parts. And there's no lull. If you're interested in the playthrough, you can keep following it and watching it. Why on earth would we try to pump that much effort into those videos, edit it for 2-3 days straight to pump out a 5-6 hour video that's going to get 100 views, right? Like, what are you talking about? Again, please give me instant gratification of every single thing that I want with absolutely no rationale of why that would make sense or even any kind of understanding of what you're doing on the channel. Just give it to me now. No. We will not do that, okay? Shorten the podcast and dive into gameplay sooner. That one I've heard 4,000 times. We've already explained that in reality, a lot of the support and engagement that I'm getting these days on certain streams actually is from the podcast. There's been certain days when I talk and we have a good conversation and good fun and I get support, and then I start the game and it's dead. Right now, we are leaning more towards content outside of the raw gameplay. This is going to continue to happen in the future. So, just get rid of the podcast, shorten the podcast. It's the opposite is what's going to happen, because that's what actually what's going on is there's more support. Last week, you guys literally voted to have a chill night with me where all we did was talk, and it went well. That stream went well. So why are you getting at me a comment here? Drop the podcast, make a shorter podcast. No, people want more. That's what I'm seeing. The actual evidence versus this kind of one-off suggestion, the evidence is people are liking it more. So do more of it. Let's see here. Let's see here. So this one actually is a good one. It says, you should try diving into YouTube By the way, this should probably be the last suggestion we take for today because I got to get the shout-outs and stuff. You should dive into your YouTube analytics for podcasts. See what segments of the show have spikes or dips in viewer retention. Does the retention start to go down when you bring up a schedule? Consider shortening that segment. Does the retention spike when you discuss gaming news? Consider covering more gaming news or even expand into entertainment news. My robo-generated timestamps likely help with these stats, encouraging people to click through to parts of the podcast that interest them, lowering retention for parts they want to skip past, and raising retention for parts they want to watch. On a video's analytics page, there's a retention graph under engagement tab. The graph can provide valuable information as to who actually tunes into the podcast and why they're successful. Consider sifting through the retention graphs for multiple podcast episodes to recognize patterns in audience interest. This is all really good constructive criticism. I want to do that. My challenge is twofold. The first challenge of this is finding time to do it. When I'm already sitting here in this office, 8 to 10 hours a day, streaming, uploading, schedule, all this stuff, right? And it's taking up the vast majority of my time already with what I'm doing. I don't know when I'm going to find time to sit and sift through analytics. Now, I'd love to do this, and maybe what I could do, I'm curious if you could do it on the phone, like in the app, because I don't think you can. I think you have to do it actually in the real YouTube dashboard. Like, I have analytics in the YouTube apps and stuff that I have, but it's not the full-fledged stuff. It's like a mobile downgraded version. But I'd have to look into this, okay? I would. I'd have to dive in. So, for example, what I could do, this very podcast, let it sit for a day or two, right? Go and look at the analytics, and there's engagement analytics, and see when did people come in and watch? When was there spikes? When were there dips? What happened? That's what I got to figure out. The other challenge, and this sadly is a big challenge, okay, is knowing the fact that sadly I'm not just making content for me. I'm making content that goes into other circles. And here's what I mean by that. Detractors. Every single day when I'm streaming, there's thousands of people rewatching this stream on someone else's stream. And when something gets said that's inflammatory, like for example, let's say, I don't know, Tevin is restreaming me today, and there's some particular meme he brings up, or there's something that I'm saying, a topic that he finds interesting, right? So then he'll bring it up on his stream. All of a sudden, some of his viewers will jump onto my stream, right? And what happens is that skews the audience, all right? And by the way, I just said Tevin because he's a common restreamer. Everyone says that he's someone who restreams me all the time for stuff, right? So basically what'll happen is there'll be spikes. Like I'll even see, oh my God, I would look, why on earth do I have like 600-700 viewers right now? I don't even understand it. Like, where did that come from, right? And you'd be like, well, that's because someone was restreaming you. They said a comment about what you were saying, and so their viewers came over to see your stuff, right? To comment in the chat themselves or whatever. You'll notice all of a sudden there'll be a ton of accounts that will come into the chat and all start saying the same thing. And that's because you know where they came from. They came from a restreamer stream. And that skews the data. So it sucks because, for example, if you're trying to use analytics to figure out, oh, I wonder, what really was the most engaging part of the podcast, right? And it'll be, oh, it's when someone tipped $1 and started talking about Review Tech USA in a negative way, and you commented on it. But in reality, your viewers don't care about that. That's the detractors. They care about that content. So they came to the stream to see it. But your viewers didn't give two shits. Your real supportive viewers. That's a problem. There's no way to tell in analytics where your real engagement is coming from. Like, what did my actual viewers and fans who are here every day, what did they like about my show today? That you can't tell, really. Because you're going to get those spikes and those interferences from outsiders. How many people can say every time that they put out content on YouTube, there's 1,000 people watching them on other streams that could skew their analytics at any moment? Right? Probably not many. Maybe me and a few other people who get restreamed all the time, like Wings and stuff like that. Probably a few of us, but not that many, right? We're in a unique situation where these tools sadly don't get used as much because we can't really use them because they get thrown for a loop whenever that kind of stuff happens, right? But I like the suggestion, I guess, because it would be a lot easier for me to do this stuff, for example, on my phone. Like, let's say, for example, I'm on my day off, and Kat and I are relaxing in the living room. We're watching something together. Maybe Kat's playing a game and I'm watching her play. But maybe then I could pop open my phone and get the app open and say, let's take a look at the podcast from 2 days ago. Let's see the spikes and things and try to coincide those with the timestamps and see what people liked about the show or not, right? But if I got to come into this office and sit here dedicated, sitting in front of the freaking YouTube dashboard to do it, and I'm away from my family to do it, I don't see how I'm going to have time to do it. That's the problem. I'm already to the point where I've worked myself as much and stretched myself as thin as I can get. People are saying, we're not getting enough of the games we want. We're not getting enough of the React content we want. Then saying, oh, by the way, on top of that, spend more time analyzing your data and stuff. It's like, I cannot do any more time. I can't. That's the limits of my time. You know what I mean? Like, I have to draw a line in the work-life balance at some point, and I'm already working too much. So there's got to be a split at some point. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see, because I think it's a great suggestion. I actually do. I don't want to say, oh, I'm just going to discredit this entire suggestion. I think the suggestion is very valid and useful. I just don't know how I can implement it right now. Okay. Well, that's enough of a suggestion box for today. We got to get to shout-outs now. We start off today on the YouTube side of things. It was Orcs Are Dorks. Re-upped their membership for 33 months and said, hi, everyone. Hello, Orcs Are Dorks. Thank you so much for supporting this channel for almost 3 straight years. Pretty darn cool, right? Jack, also re-upping for 2 years, excuse me, 24 months. What future plans do you have for DSP Gaming? Future plans right now, I think this channel is doing good. I think that covering, you know, different game releases, variety of stuff, every once in a while doing a special event on the channel, the podcast every day, I think we're good. I don't think DSP Gaming needs anything to mix it up or change the formula. I do think other channels, like DSP Reacts, DSP Throwback, those are channels that we can grow and do new stuff. I don't see this channel changing that much. I think that this one is working fine. Okay? Okay. All right. Unless you have suggestions, in which case, I'm open. You have a suggestion of something we could change, do differently, or maybe create some growth or evolving of a content that I put on this channel. But, I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and it seems like this is the channel people want this content on, right? So, there you have it. Okay. So on the tip side of stuff, we start off today. Okay, a 333 anonymous tip. Basically, they sent me a message, and they said, it's just a message about the React show, that they had accidentally submitted the wrong clips. So it's all good. It happens. For the record, I noticed that. At least for one clip I noticed was a repeat, and I did not put that into the playlist. So, it happens. Just be a little more careful, so that way you, you know, you're moving forward. You don't end up having your clips skipped. So, there you go. Thank you for the tip. I don't want to skip the clip. Oh, my God. Excuse me. Oh, I'm so sorry, everybody. Okay. A disgusting, raucous belch. That's really gross. I'm sorry about that. I received a $25 tip. All right, so 1 Minute Man did a $25 tip. And, interesting suggestion, so I'll read it. Hold on. I was skimming through what he was saying, trying to understand what he said before I read it back to you guys. Okay, so here's what 1 Minute Man has to say. Ready? He says, just a suggestion. Now that you're 100 hours into Baldur's Gate 3, maybe around 40% of that was you walking, talking, exploring, doing minor side quests, and minor combat. If you had played this off the clock a few hours a week, uploaded that to your YouTube channel, and encouraged people to watch these videos before the stream, then you focused only on major story elements in the stream, you could be in the real endgame now. I know that if you owned a restaurant, you wouldn't want to have to make sandwiches off the clock, but sometimes sacrifices have to be made, like with Will. Now, you can say, here's the thing, all right? Well, 1 Minute Man, here's the thing. Okay? First of all, what you're suggesting actually works perfectly for someone who's not a live streamer. Just being honest, yeah, if I wasn't a live streamer, that's the kind of stuff that I used to do all the time, actually. Before I was a live streamer and everything was live broadcast to the world, I would always play games off the clock because everything was off the clock. Everything was just an on-demand video. And sometimes I would not upload absolutely everything, or I would streamline because I knew kind of what was coming in a game or something like that. When I first started as a live streamer, I actually sometimes would play off the clock. I'll give you an example. Games like Dark Souls or Demon Souls, what I would actually do is grind off camera because people didn't want to see me grind in the game. They felt like that was boring, so I would grind off camera, and then I would come back many levels higher to basically take on the story, right? That way I could steamroll the story and not have to worry about, oh, I'm under-leveled for it, and I have to go repetitively grind to level up more to take on the rest of the story, right? However, people hated that. No exaggeration, people absolutely rallied against it. Why are you grinding off camera? Why are you playing the game off camera? Now the playthrough is not legitimate because your honest first-time experience was ruined because you were just running off camera and basically doing this stuff and we didn't get to see it, and therefore it's not legit. Seriously, that is the actual criticism I got when I was doing stuff off camera back in the day. So it just became, all right, so my first-time playthroughs will be 100% honest. We're not going to do anything off camera. We're not going to skip anything. It's just going to be everything you see is what you get. So that way, when you're watching my streams, that's my honest first-time experience with the game with no exception. And that's how we've treated it for many, 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 many years. And that's what people wanted, all right? What you're suggesting would be, for example, if I was someone who, how can I say? If I was someone who was not a full-time streamer, but instead was a YouTuber who edited all their content, correct? Streamlined their playthrough, correct? Then, you're right, and I'm sure a lot of people did that too. I'm sure a lot of people have done that. They took a playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, and instead of it being a raw 100-hour playthrough, they edited that down to 40 hours of the major story. And there's a lot of other side stuff, and they're like, well, if you want to see that, maybe I'll release that later, or I'll do a side quest side series where you can see that, but the main plot points you can see here, right? And I understand that that might be more digestible for a certain kind of audience, but I'm a full-time live streamer. I'm not that kind of a YouTuber. I don't sit there editing videos offline. I don't, you know what I'm saying? A lot of YouTubers actually edit out fails. They edit out things that they feel are boring in their playthroughs, right? You know, you'll be traveling across a map. It's like, well, that's boring. Nothing happened. Just edit out 5 minutes. They'll do that. I'm the raw gameplay guy. Like I've always have been. And again, I was very strongly criticized around the times when I was not just the raw gameplay guy, that I'm leaving out stuff. In the case of your specific suggestions, all right, you're saying play the game off camera, right? But then be sure to stream the story. I can't do that. Why? Because I don't know what's the story and I don't know what's not. I've never played the game before. Remember, I'm not sitting here with a guide or strategy or anything. Everywhere I'm going, I'm just walking around and exploring genuinely, correct? And I will maybe discover a major story element. Like yesterday, when I went into Worm Fortress or whatever, I did run into major story elements, but I also ran into a bunch of side quests, right? Like it was a combination of factors there. I didn't know what I was going to find in there. I had no idea. So, unless I'm spoiling myself on this content, there's absolutely no way that I would know only stream these parts and leave the other parts for off stream and then later on upload or separately edit. You know what I'm saying? Like, the raw live streams, that way you don't miss anything, right? Everything is always broadcast to the people watching, and you can't miss anything out. Now, you're right. That also creates bloated content because every piece of side content, every piece of exploration, every piece of that experience is shown publicly, and it can make the playthrough much longer. But I think a lot of people like that about my playthroughs. When they watch it, they say, okay, if this is my honest first time playing the game, this is what it's like. You know, how many people over the years have said they really enjoyed a playthrough of mine because they've played the game, but they're a fan of the series. They know all about it, correct? Well, me, I'm an outsider, right? I went into Baldur's Gate 3 knowing nothing about D&D, knowing nothing about what the game was going to play like outside of the combat that I did in Divinity 2. But outside of that, it was all fresh and new. So now to see an outsider play this is fun because you're seeing that first-time honest experience to everything, to the story elements, to the side content, to the traversal, to the exploration, to all the things, right? I'm sure a lot of people get laughs when I walk into a room full of poison and I freak out because it goes into turn-based mode, which I absolutely hate turn-based mode out of combat. I don't ever want to use it. And I'm freaking out that the AI won't follow me and stuff like that. People get a kick out of that, right? But that's my honest reaction. And people are like, haha, see, here's a newbie getting owned by these mechanics that we're a pro at, and we just coast through that, and it's fun to see him fail at that, right? So that's what I mean. Like, that's what a lot of people come to my content for. I totally understand the kind of content you're suggesting. You're more hands-on, more edited, more curated, more, let's streamline. There's tons of content creators that do that. They're not full-time live streamers. Full-time live streamers won't do that. Or the content creator themselves is the full-time live streamer, but they're rich because they're giant content creators, and they hire a whole editing team. And so the editing team will take their content and clip it up, chop it up, and say, okay, here's the streamlined story playthrough, here's the side stuff, here's this, and they do that for them because they get paid to do it. I don't have that, right? I don't. Already I got people working their butts off to make stuff for the Throwback channel, and that's just the minimal editing work. I don't have a crack team of 30 people who can all sit down and start editing and chopping up and doing. Because it's funny, because people suggest this all the time. Why don't you have someone sit there and watch your podcast and chop that podcast up into clips? Like when you did your reaction to the Dark Souls, I keep saying Dark Souls. When you did a reaction to the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, why didn't you have someone clip that out as an edited clip and post that up as a separate video? Because I don't have people to do that. I can't pay employees. My money has to go to basic stuff. I'm not a filthy rich dude like these other content creators you're thinking about. I'm not. It's hilarious how I always get held up to them. Like, here's someone who's only 10 times bigger than me. Literally, he's probably a millionaire. And they have a team of editors to do this for that. I can't do that. I'm a one-man show. I always have been. I do get help now, which is nice. That there's some people who have stepped up and said, look, we always wanted to see this Throwback stuff. Let's help you with it. Let's do it. And I'm like, thank you so much for that. But I can't hire a team of editors to make this style of content. I just can't. Listen, if I had that, maybe things would be different, right? But I can't. I can't. So it is what it is. In a perfect world, first of all, I love being a live streamer. I would always want my streams to be the raw stuff. I wouldn't want to have my stream be, we're saved this special part of the story just for this stream, and that's all we're doing today on stream. I think that's silly. I like genuinely exploring and enjoying games with my audience. I don't want to have a different kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, Sith, just stop. He goes, YouTubers your size have an editor. Then they don't pay them. I'll just tell you, listen, I have no sponsors. I have no product placements. I have none of that extra income. Literally, my income is ad revenue on YouTube, membership revenue on YouTube that doesn't even exist anymore because of the fake memberships. Okay? Super chats on YouTube and the tips that come in. All right? That's it. I don't have all this other income that maybe these other YouTubers have. I don't know how to explain it to you any more matter-of-factly. Okay? There's no one of my stature bringing in a few hundred views a video who's then paying an editor. That's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. You don't know what you're talking about. If you think someone who brings in less than 1,000 views on a stream and a few hundred views per video on YouTube is paying an editor, you are very misinformed. Okay? Very, very misinformed. That could be true. Someone just said, perhaps some of these people are doing it for resume experience. You may be right. Maybe that's the case. Maybe some people are coming in and saying, if I can say that I was an editor for a YouTuber for a year or two, and then I can actually go off to do this kind of work for a company because I have experience that I can show. Maybe that's what it is. But I'm telling you right now, I cannot afford to pay someone a paycheck to edit my videos. I just can't. Right now, like I told you, things right now are very, very tight for me personally, just as is, because of this stuff going on with these memberships and stuff. Right now, I'm barely to the point where I'm getting by, I'm making it, but it's so tight. How the hell am I supposed to afford to pay an editor to do this stuff? It's never going to happen. So, back to One Minute Man's point. I agree with what 1 Minute Man is saying, okay? I think that what 1 Minute Man is saying would actually work for a certain audience. There would actually be people who would prefer a more streamlined playthrough. A 40-hour Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough that just covers the major plot points. And if you want to see side questing or whatever, you could go tune into it in a separate playlist or a separate project or whatever it may be. But that's not the kind of YouTuber I am. I'm a full-time live streaming YouTuber. The vast majority of income I make is from live streams. If I didn't live stream all the time and I just relied on edited content on YouTube, I would not make a living. YouTube has changed so much in the last 7 to 10 years. Ad revenue plummeting, all these things changing. It wouldn't be viable, you know? The streams are my lifeblood. People like that honest first-time experience of me playing a game. If I were to change that and change the kind of creator I am, that would basically really screw up the way that I make content and the way that right now I'm actually making my living. So I don't think it would work short term. Maybe long term if it was a big transition. But again, that's not something I can do. That would have to be like some professional editors get involved, which I just cannot do. Okay? Sparky31 did a super chat. He says, I watched your Elden Ring videos. Why did you blame the input of the game so much? I don't know what that means. The input of the game so much. Particularly when I played Elden Ring, the number one complaint I got is I did jump attacks too much. The number two complaint I got is that when I found an overpowered weapon, I used it too much. And I was very stubborn. Like when I was playing it, I was super stubborn with trying to kill a boss that was optional. I didn't need to fight it, and I spent tons of time fighting it or whatever. I don't particularly remember anyone saying that I was saying too much, that the inputs weren't working. With me, with FromSoft games, a big complaint that to this day is that sadly, yeah, the FromSoft control scheme, especially for Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and Demon Souls, is delayed. And they do it on purpose. Other games don't have that innate delay or startup to their attacks. Like, go play Neo, right? Or go play... Lies of P doesn't even have it. Like, Lies of P is a very fast-reacting game. For some reason, FromSoft love their delay, their startup on attacks. And I do criticize that. I think to this day, I just like to play a FromSoft game where your character moves faster than a snail's pace when you press the button. That would be nice. And we still haven't seen it. Okay? It's an innate part of the programming of the game. I don't particularly remember complaining about it that much in Elden Ring. I had other things to complain about. I don't particularly think it was that big of an issue. Maybe you have focused in on a few moments where it was, and if that's the case, I'm not going to say you didn't. I mean, the Elden Ring playthrough was like 100 hours, so very much so there probably were parts that I was pissed off about at that. So, but I don't remember that being an issue, nor do I remember really even bringing that up in my review of the game. So, thank you for the super chat. See here? And then we got someone insulting me. So thanks for the insult, and I'm not going to read that. Okay. All right, guys. It is definitely time to end the show because we got to get set up for the React show. Okay? So I want to say thank you. We actually did some suggestion box today, finally, for the first time in a while. So that's good. And I hope that you guys are... Oh, my nose itches bad today. I don't know why. Right here on my nose has been itching the whole podcast. If you notice, I've been, like, scratching it. It's really been itchy today. Hopefully it stops. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your feedback. Thank you all for chilling. And for those who supported the show as well, thank you very much. And tomorrow, I'm sure we'll be talking about how this React Day went and more topics. So thank you all. Please be safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, and I will see you on Monday for another episode of the Level 1 Podcast.